The following is an exclusive original presentation of the 252 ESPN Radio Network.
The drive starts right now.
Starts right now.
Just living the dream.
Here's a guy who gets paid to talk.
Are you ready for the most electrifying man in sports and entertainment?
No, he did. Doing a radio show, so what? The most anticipated radio show ever.
1, 2, 3.
Happy Monday. This is East Carolina Sports Show on your ride home. I'm Mark Penicelli. He's Sam Avalos. Great show. Well, I don't want to say great.
Don't put any expectations on this.
Monday shows in the middle of July. You're right. To say, oh, what a great show. Yeah, you're right. Let's don't do that. But we will have Kyle Gaskins on. No Kyle Gaskins. No Kyle Gaskins.
We will have Jordan Honeycutt on.
Jordan
today.
Honeycutt.
Yes.
That's right. See, I'm already blew it. Already got the guest wrong. That's how
It's going to be Monday, man. It's going to be okay. Look, we went through a whole entire weekend. We didn't have any real sports this weekend. I know there was the Wimbledon Championship. There was the World Cup final. We didn't have any real sports on over the weekend. So, yes, what are we going to talk about? Fortunately for us, we do have a real sporting event tonight in the Home Run Derby, so we can have a little fun with that at some point today.
Well,
but as far as real sports
I disagree with you on there were no real sports. For the narrow-minded, yes. For the meat and potatoes American guy who's baseball, basketball, football. There was baseball yesterday. I mean, it was the end of the push towards the All-Star break.
I mean, yeah, but don't you think that those baseball players, it was just a total mail-in job, right?
No, I don't think it was a total mail-in job. What is wrong with you?
It's a complete mail job. It's on the if you're playing baseball on the eve of the MLB All-Star break, you would like to think, yes, okay, these guys are going to go out here and lay it all on the line because they know they've got the week off. But no, I like to think we took our vacations a couple of weeks ago. What was our mindset leading up to vacation?
Well,
it was not
completely different.
Let's try hard.
It's a completely different world than what we live in. The baseball world that I'm aware of, Friday night, apparently Bryce Harper hit a ball, barely got out of the infield, and he was going to get out. I mean, you could tell unless something crazy happens, he was going to get out. But hustle guy, you know what I'm talking about, the guy who's like, man, you got to run it out.
Yes.
That dude flipped out on Bryce Harper. Flipped out. I mean, I was watching grown men in a studio who used to be baseball players who were like, you got to bench Bryce Harper because that's disrespectful to the game. It's disrespectful to your teammates. You're not going to run it out? Well, sit your pretty butt down, dude. There is no mailing it in baseball, apparently, buddy. I don't know what memo you didn't get with the baseball people. But no, that game right before the All-Star break counts, and it means something. And we
yes,
run out.
I won't disagree with that.
We run those, we don't jog to first base when we hit it to shortstop, Bryce here. You can sit down. And
so
they take it seriously.
Yeah, oh yeah. So Nationals manager Dave Martinez, obviously he was one of these hustle guys. He's the one who said that he was going to have a meeting with Bryce Harper and talk about this hustle or lack thereof.
And I just wanted to say, he said, I'm going to meet with him tomorrow about this. When they went back to the studio, those dudes flipped out. They were like, no, you meet with him right now. There is no tomorrow. You meet with Bryce Harper right now.
Martinez said, quote, I've spoken to Bryce, and that's a conversation that will stay between Bryce and I. So how do you think that conversation actually goes? Because Martinez, is he a first-year manager? Or is this his first-year manager?
Is his first, and he's going into, can we just mention the fact that every time you have a conversation about the Nationals, it's about this window's closing.
Yes.
You're probably losing your best player at the end of the year. What an utter failure this has been. And managers have been a central part in this because they have, I mean, let's go through the list, right, of guys that they've had in the last. I mean, they fired manager after manager, Rugelman, Johnson, Baker, and now Martinez. I want to think in the real world, like you and I were talking about how mail it in, it's the All-Star break. For most of us,
that's what I would do.
A 3-day break.
Exactly.
So I think Martinez is like, look, you know how the baseball unwritten rules are.
Right.
I have to fuss at you about your lack of effort at running. Can you please listen, Bryce? We need you. I know it's terrible. You're hitting like 211, 209. It is just embarrassing. But can you please, even if it's going to be an out, can you run to first like it matters?
Fake it in some way, right? Even at least just put on the perception that you're trying.
Yes.
Give me 85%. Give me 80%. Just don't blatantly give me 40%.
Because a guy in St. Louis who has way more credibility as a manager than I do just got canned, and we have about the same record. Right. So if you could hustle a little bit, because this all reflects on me, and I'm about to lose my job because apparently Rizzo, our boy Rizzo, designer jeans, Mike Rizzo, that guy,
way shorter than you'd ever expect.
Right, that guy will fire a manager in a heartbeat.
Right. That's the thing. St. Louis, as you mentioned, fired Matheny. St. Louis is like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They don't fire managers. They don't fire coaches.
Especially ones that have kind of been good. He's good.
Yeah, he's good. And he's essentially a face, or was a face, for the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, talking about like the best looking man in baseball outside of Bryce Harper, it was probably Mike Matheny, right? And then the Cardinals had no problem throwing that out the window. And like you said, and compare that with a team like the Nationals and Mike Rizzo, who will fire you at the drop of a hat. And so that's why you think that Dave Martinez has to handle this Bryce Harper situation with kid gloves, because the last thing he wants to hear when free agency hits this offseason is, well, you know, Dave Martinez and I didn't really see eye to eye. We didn't really get along. There was that whole issue where I kind of slowly jogged, and he yelled at me about it, a day before the All-Star break. If that comes out, if Dave Martinez comes out as a reason that Bryce Harper leaves Washington and goes somewhere else, then Rizzo's going to point right at the general manager and say, "You're gone, buddy. You lost us our star player." So we'll see. I mean, look, all speculation, obviously, but
do you feel like I don't think people realize too that it may have nothing to do with what Washington has. As I said, it may be the fact that he's been there forever. They've had this window. They've had good pitching. He's had great players around him. They just can't win in the postseason. He may want to leave because of that. He just may want to change his scenery. I don't know what. It may have nothing to do with Washington whatsoever. He may have always dreamed of being a Yankee, of being a Cub, of playing with his, playing with his buddy.
And Chris Bryant are real good friends. I don't know if I want Bryce Harper because he's batting .214 this season, but
I want to think based on his age, maybe he came up and he's like, I really like those Phillies teams, and I've always think, man, I'd love to play with the Phils.
How old is How old is Bryce Harper?
I don't have his age right here. I'm gonna guess he's probably he can't be any more than 26 years old.
25.
Right? Wow,
oh, man, I'm the same age as Bryce Harper.
He's got a lot of big. I was
what
telling
have I done
you
with my life.
We usually say, oh, don't sign a guy to a 10-year contract. Right? This is the perfect. If you could convince him to sign a 10-year contract, go ahead and do it, because that's the meat of his career. 10 more years, star player. People love him. He's going to hit home runs. He's been a better hitter than he is now. I don't know what's going on with him this year.
The average is down, but he's still got 23 home runs, 53 RBIs.
Right.
So I know Daryl, who's sitting outside the door here, might be listening.
He's not a great defensive player.
No, he's not.
I mean, let's
we
be
saw
honest.
him make 2 errors the time we were up there just a month ago or so.
Yes.
But you're going to get that seminal 100 RBI season for Bryce Harper most likely this year.
Yeah.
And so going into a contract year, despite the average being down, I'm assuming Bryce Harper can turn that around a little bit, probably finish the season batting around 250, which still isn't what you want out of your star.
But he'll hit like 40-plus home runs and have 100-plus RBIs.
Yeah, but it's like we were talking about Mookie Betts with the Red Sox the other day, who's batting like a ridiculous 340-something this season. That's the guy that you look at and you say, okay, yeah, lock him in 10-year contract if you can. I mean, Mookie's still a couple years away from that kind of arbitration. But Bryce, it does give you a little bit of a worry, I guess, a little bit, right? To lock that kind of guy in long term, who Mookie is an outstanding shortstop to go along with his hitting. You know, he doesn't really hit for power, more hits for contact and hits for high average, but can still produce, obviously. Bryce is the guy that, well, you're not going to get the average, you're not going to get the stellar defense. Right, you're just going to get some bomb shots, and you're going to get a personality and a big time name.
I know maybe this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but I think he's not DH material. Like if he went to an American League team, the idea of putting him in the DH, I think, would be a waste. But how about moving him to first base? I mean, talk about. God, every first baseman in the world is. I mean, he's a great hitter who can't play defense. First base seems like a great place for Bryce Harper to play, right?
He'll transition there one day. He's big enough too, right? Like
I think so. I mean, this outfield thing is great, but right field is the. It's where you still need a decent, and he's not. I mean, average. Would you say an average? Or slightly below average. I mean, I'd say average outfielder. He's not awful.
Yeah, he's fine. I think.
I'm moving him to first right now.
It's so sad that he's at right field. Wasn't right field growing up playing Little League? Like, you had your Little League team, you had your studs. Yeah. Like, I considered myself a quote-unquote stud of my Little League team back at age 12. Sure. I was a shortstop. I couldn't hit. I wasn't a power hitter, but I could make some contact. I was a good fielder. Right. I'm sure you were the same way. Growing through your Little League days, you were like, yeah, I'm a real contributor on this team. You had your friends on the team, and it's like, yeah, we're a good team. And then there's the one guy who, your parents say you have to be nice to him, try to welcome him in.
Right.
And
who's okay, right?
And even your coach is like, gosh, like, oh man, Bobby came out today. What are we going to do with him? Well, let's just bury him in right field. It seems like that's what Dave Martinez and the Nationals are trying to do with Bryce Harper when it comes to the defensive side of things.
Yeah, but in Major League Baseball, guys will hit it to right, especially
obviously.
Right. And I think, again, Bryce is okay at right, but I think ultimately I would move him to first base. I wouldn't even think twice about it. That being said, so we're at which is way past the halfway point. The All-Star break is way past the halfway point in baseball.
The Midsummer Classic.
But what is the biggest surprise to this point? Is it the Nationals and the fact that they're behind two teams that they shouldn't? Is that the biggest surprise for you?
I think the biggest surprise isn't maybe so much that. It's the bigger surprise is the two teams that they are behind, right? I think you look at the Braves, and a lot of people knew that they were getting better. The Braves are probably a little, like maybe a year, maybe 2 years ahead of schedule in some people's eyes. Right. But it's the Phillies who I think are 3-4 years ahead of where people maybe thought they were supposed to be. So to me, the biggest surprise to this point, especially in that division, is the fact that not only are the Nats in third place, they might even be in fourth place now. I haven't checked the standings.
I'm looking right now. They're in third.
Okay.
But it would take a lot for them to get in fourth because Miami is 13.5 back. They're still 5.5 back. So despite the great start that Philly and Atlanta have had in the NL East, all the Nationals need is a good run, and they're right there. 5.5 is certainly no giant lead. I mean, I guess. The fact that the Yankees and the Red Sox have 60 wins at this point already, and we still thought that the Yankees were, this is going to be a good team, a contending team. Are they ready to win a championship team? I don't know that we thought that they were quite there. They still need a little bit more, but to this point in the season, I think we expected it of the Red Sox though, right? Because
I guess I haven't been a Red Sox fan for more than a week and a half, so my judgment on them is a little lacking.
Yes,
but the thing about the Red Sox is you look at them and outside of JD Martinez, there's nobody who really pops off the page as like, okay, well this team can produce a lot of runs. But the great thing about the Sox is they just have a bunch of young guys who pretty much steadily, constantly produce. They have a pitching staff that doesn't blow you away, but they steadily and constantly produce. And it's kind of the same thing with the Yankees, but the problem with the Yankees, or for Yankees fans, the good thing for the Yankees is that they have nothing but young talent, and they have nothing but young talent that can just bomb it out of the park. I mean, you're talking about surprises to this point in the MLB season. Aaron Judge, to me, is a little bit of a surprise because when you come off of a season last year where he led the American League in home runs, he led the American League in walks, and he also led the American League in strikeouts, you would think there's going to be some regression. But no, he's having an even better season than he did last year. His average is up. He's probably going to wind up with a couple fewer home runs, but Aaron Judge still having a tremendous year. So I think you've hit the nail on the head here. If you want to talk about surprises to this point in the MLB season, it starts with what the heck is going on in that NL East. And then, wow, the Yankees and the Red Sox have... Is this the peak Red Sox-Yankees in history? I mean, realistically, are we going to get to the end of this year and say this is one of the best seasons where the Yankees and the Red Sox have both been atop of the whole entire MLB, not just their division.
Yeah.
And they're both young. They both look like they have a decade plus of promise coming up ahead of them. And we're going to be sitting right there in the AL Championship.
No.
And I wish we could see both of them.
And you know why? Because we're forgetting the fact that there's 3 teams in all of Major League Baseball that have 60 wins.
True.
And that other team may be better than the 2 that we're all enamored with, because New York and Boston, it's all the pub. The defending world champions that we always forget about are really, really good.
Do you think they like that? Like, would you like that if you were the Astros? Like, sure, go talk about them.
I'm the champ, and nobody notices me.
Well, it's because Jose Altuve is so short. Everybody's just overlooking him.
Yeah, I mean, they're good enough to win it all again. And the beauty is, I don't think they sneak up on baseball players and organizations.
Right.
But I think for the average fan, you just, like we just had this great baseball conversation. We're at the halfway point, and it took us this long to get to the Houston Astros, who might be the best team in all of baseball still.
And do you even really want to talk about them?
Because they're boring.
They're boring.
They're
right?
the San
Which is
Antonio
so unfair.
Spurs.
It's so unfair, though.
Yes.
They're so good. And they, again, young talent. They have a couple guys who can just... George Springer's one of the best power hitters. I've heard people complaining all day long about, well, we don't have that star power in the major leagues. In the home run derby tonight, which I don't really agree with. Like, people quit pooping on this at this home run derby field tonight. It's going to be awesome.
Right.
And we will talk about that at some point today.
We absolutely will.
But Springer is one of those guys that if he was in this, you'd be like, wow, star power, like big time bat on the defending world champions, as you said, and we still don't care to talk about them.
Yeah, it is just insane. And I think that
Wasn't like all 5 of their starting pitchers
I was gonna
have
say,
an ERA of like 2 or less?
the pitching staff is the scariest part. I mean, it may be the best ever. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's just lost in the moment, trapped in the moment. We mentioned that we're going to talk about the home run derby. 8 gentlemen tonight will square off in a battle of back. And
back. I still need to confirm if he's going to be there tonight.
And for many of these guys, or a couple of these guys, it's also going to ruin. Now, the guy who can ill afford it ruining, because he's already, as we were talking about, hitting 207, 20 whatever, is Bryce Harper. If this home run derby causes him to have a post All-Star game slump, I mean, that could be just terrible for him. But obviously, historically, it's happened, right? It's like the Madden cover in, it's going to happen. You're going to get, except for Tom Brady, right? But he did lose the Super Bowl. So in a way, he did get hurt in his heart.
So this is good for the Nationals tonight. So obviously the All-Star break is going to be taking place in D.C. in Nationals Park. So tonight, the home run derby, as we work our way through the bracket, after the first round, tonight will be the first night that Nationals Park has hosted the second round of anything. So good for the Washington Nationals finally hosting the second round of something.
Absolutely.
And the final round for that matter.
Absolutely. We will talk some baseball and some other stuff. Plus, Jordan Honeycutt's going to join us, Sun Journal sports writer. We'll get his thoughts on the firing in St. Louis. I'm sure he has some personal thoughts on that.
So apparently Chris Berman didn't do the home run derby last year. I thought he did for some reason.
It felt like he did. It felt like maybe it was on ESPN3.
Maybe they honored him or something in some way, but it's
maybe
it's
he's done it
ravaged now.
so long that it just imprinted. You know, and it's like every time you watch it, it's like buck, 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 buck.
So
Did
is
they play it?
A-Rod going to be there tonight? Is he going to be a part of it?
I don't know. I think the whole crew should be the whole ESPN crew, right?
So what? Mendoza, A-Rod. I don't even know who carries it.
Matt Vasgersian.
Vasgersian. Okay.
Right. Former voice of the XFL. Who didn't get raunchy enough for Vince McMahon, if you watch the 30
Oh,
for
really?
30. Yeah.
Oh, can we get Chris Berman involved in the new XFL? That's raunchy enough, right? Chris Berman is raunchy enough.
I hope we could get him involved. Great Monday. Well, I said quit putting these expectations.
Not a bad start to a Monday.
Yes, a Monday show will happen when we come back.